Baseball fans, BetMGM is giving you the chance to win a prize every day during the baseball season. Step into the batter's box for BetMGM Swing for the Fences free-to-play game. Pick any area of the strike zone and take your best swing. If you get a single, double, triple, or home run, you'll receive a prize. Smash a home run to collect a bonus bet on us. Just log into your BetMGM Sports account to get started. Then visit your promotion section to access the Swing for the Fences free-to-play game. You'll score a prize if you hit a single, double, triple, or home run. There's nothing more exciting than going yard, so swing for the fences with the king of sportsbooks. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Iowa only. Existing customer offers. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards vary depending on market and expire 24 hours from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Welcome to Alien Theorist Theorizing, Case File 49. I'm Braden.
I'm Zell.
I'm Bar.
Dan.
We nailed it again.
Almost had it.
Unbelievable. Ridiculous.
You had a second try and you fucked up.
Or did we?
Or did you, I guess.
I did,
I
right?
guess we're keeping it.
Accidentally on purpose.
So today we're going to talk about it's very relevant to the times right now and the crazy weather and just the masses being played like a harp.
Boo.
Better for
It
us
was good the second time. You guys,
Been working on your material.
yeah, I know. Well, I only had those written down. I had that written down. It was like I had a series of Mr. Conspiracy's cue cards in front of me, and I had each word written down on them. I had them all spread out.
As under like just big harp with like a little drawing of a harp. It just underlined a bunch of times.
Yeah,
the one and only cue card.
man, we're on a recording machine right now. I think this is the most we've recorded ever since
ever in a short period.
Consistency is something that we are not known for.
So don't get used to it.
It's going to be like a week. I can record one, I guess, in another week from now. Same time next week.
This is what happens every time you give a promise.
Shit happens.
Same
Shit
bat
happens.
time, same bat channel.
Well, they don't care. People don't care. People love us.
No.
They love our shenanigans.
No, but yeah, we were talking
Right.
about we're doing HAARP. You said it. We're relevant with the times. All the hurricanes going on, the giant earthquake in Mexico.
Yeah.
A lot of HAARP talk. Everything's burning.
Everything's on fire.
Droughts, the insane weather patterns that are, or, I mean, you could just say that they're
2 Category 4s touchdown on land in the United States. For the first time ever.
Were they 5s or 4s when they hit land?
4. They're 2 4s when they hit land. They were 5 like building up, and then they pushed out last minute.
Good on them.
No, like we had a bunch of prolapsers down there in Florida, and it seems like everyone made it through. They said it was fucking hell, but everything's getting back together.
Well, that's
Oh,
good.
that's happy to hear.
The ones have messaged us anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy
So,
stuff, man.
hopefully everyone made
Crazy
it.
stuff.
Just get yourself an Explorer 200 and paddle down to your nearest safe zone.
Neighbor. Get some sugar.
safe zone.
Anyways, bad.
Anyone? Should we get right into it? I don't like. We
You
don't
want to do space news?
space news.
Whoa.
Space news.
Big space news.
Satellites and shit.
Well, I got this one because we had to re-record. I already told you guys this, and it's not that exciting. Scientists discovered an alien planet that has titanium skies.
So cool.
So the discovery that the atmosphere of WASP 19b has atmosphere that is titanium oxide.
So we can't live there.
They're calling it in brackets Inferno World.
Oh, that's so cool.
I will.
I didn't.
Oh man.
Decide.
You didn't say
That's
that the
amazing.
first time.
No.
Yeah, you didn't say that the first time. That's super cool. Now I totally want to live
No.
there.
But I was saying
Welcome
before.
to Inferno World. Yeah.
That's great.
We play heavy metal 24/7, every radio station.
No, that's good. All I'm picturing is the guy now. I just watched it not that long ago off
Deadpool?
Mad Max.
Oh.
The blind guitar player with the flamethrower on the front of the truck.
Oh, yeah. Just going
just
into death.
picturing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, everyone, poke your head outside your office building or wherever you're working, and check for a second sun. Anything?
Well, it's dark, so I'll wait till tomorrow morning. But
No, well, it was more for people who are listening to this right now. But anyways,
oh.
thanks, Braden. Thanks for ruining the punchline there a little bit, but no big deal. Mr. Conspiracy promised you a second sun in the sky when the Cassini spacecraft crashed into Saturn. Actually, I think he said Jupiter, but he was wrong. It was Saturn, but
He's pretty close.
he missed it by a whole planet.
a whole planet. Classic Mr. Conspiracy. Anyways, there is no second sun, but the spacecraft Cassini crashed in, sending back pictures right till its last moment, and they're pretty sweet. Go check them out. So now you know, Mr. Conspiracy is the dud he portrays.
Also, we have just again Aurora City right now, man. Like
Just
forever,
going
I never
nuts.
saw them, and just boom, Auroras every night. Auroras.
So you've
Like,
seen them?
Oh, every night.
Wow.
They're insane. They're just blowing up everywhere.
Yeah, Byron missed it. You finally seen him, and he's gross, right in the mic. Not even a fucking head tilt.
even
Not even
try.
a twitch to the left or right. Just direct
No,
shot.
I turned away like the Tay Van Day of Chocolate Rain. I turned away.
I don't get the reference, but
You don't remember Chocolate Rain? Chocolate Rain. Some stay dry and others stay the same.
oh, that fucking YouTube hit. Is that what
yeah,
it was?
and he'd turn and breathe away from the mic.
And they would say in the captions,
Yeah, it's
turn,
like,
and breathe, turn and breathe.
Yeah.
Right. No.
Anyways, that's all I had for space news.
Me too, pretty much. That's all I have.
Well, I'm glad to see
Space.
hear that you've finally seen an aurora.
Yeah, it is pretty. You know what? I've been so spoiled the last couple nights that I'm over them.
They're mesmerizing though. They're still pretty cool.
They're not special anymore.
I'm like, sure, I don't even care.
Did you get any nice oranges and purples and stuff, or?
I noticed really good greens, but you know what? I'll get back into that in a second.
Sure.
Why don't we throw on the Randomatron X2?
Let's do that. Get it rigged up.
All right. Yes. I guess. Are we gonna turn it on? I guess.
Why,
I'm
you're
gonna turn
always
it on.
so unsure of how this new machine works.
No, I'm
You let
just gonna-
us know when it's hooked up, when it's all ready to go,
Yeah. Okay.
and push start.
Okay.
And here it goes. And stop.
Wow.
Great
Listen
stuff.
to that baby purr. Unbelievable.
It's really hit its stride now after
Yeah,
the second one.
I think we got to work it. You know what? Byron was
settled in.
Byron's here.
Everything settled back in.
Byron took a look at the instructions because they're Australian. He deciphered the English for us, and we got to work it.
Australianese.
Because it's pretty simple.
Green button on, red button off.
Don't touch that button. You're good to go.
Beer in hand, good to go.
Oh, okay. This is a good one.
Are you sure? we'll be the judge of that.
We're waiting.
Deputy Sheriff Wilbur Neff. Old Willie.
Old Willie.
During the night of April 16th, 1966, Deputy Sheriff Wilbur Neff and Dale F. Spar were alerted by radio to a UFO report being made by a woman in Summit County, Ohio. She reported a UFO. What was that?
That was Byron going, "Ayo."
Sorry.
Oh, okay. She reported. Byron, keep quiet. I'm trying to read.
Shut up.
She reported a UFO as big as a house flying over the area. The officers investigated. They stopped their car and got out to investigate the area in the woods near the caller's address. Suddenly, they saw a UFO rising above the trees and coming towards them. It was growing brightly and illuminating the area all around. The object was making a sound like an electrical transformer on overload. It stopped above the officers and was apparently generating some heat because one of the officers was moved to say,
Was moved.
my clothes weren't burning or anything.
But it was warm.
I don't know why he felt moved to say that.
My clothes weren't burning at all?
He goes,
That's it?
Or anything.
generating heat because one of the officers was moved to say, my clothes weren't burning or anything.
Okay.
It was warm, but my clothes
Right.
weren't burning or anything.
It was warm.
That's something to make note of, that your clothes aren't on fire. So, you know,
Yeah.
it's
Hey, guess
important to
what,
note
guys?
that.
I want you guys to know right now, my clothes aren't burning or anything either.
Oh,
One of the officers, Spar, admitted he was petrified. In the 2 minutes or so they watched the object, they got back in the car and then watched as the object moved away from them. The officers picked up the mic and reported. Despite, I'm gonna do my mic. I'm gonna do my mic voice. This bright object right here. Yeah. The one that everyone's saying going over. Yeah. The radio controller replied, perhaps comically, shoot it. But the officers pointed out that this object was no toy and no joke.
All right.
No jokes underlined. So I really no joke.
You read it as,
was-
as
This
is.
is not a joke.
And as big as a house, just as the woman had reported earlier. The officers were instructed to chase the object and did so, reaching speeds of over 100 miles per hour. They were joined by another officer, Wayne Houston, who also witnessed the object. In Pennsylvania, as the chase continued, police officer Frank Panzanana
Yeah, that was great.
Frank Panzanana also witnessed the UFO, which hovered near Pittsburgh Airport while a plane took off and then shot straight up and disappeared. Like Police Chief Jeff Greenhaw, Dale Spar was ridiculed after making his report. His home life was destroyed. He suffered poor health, and he had to leave the force.
The Force?
That's what it says.
Police Force.
Interesting.
Gotcha. I'm thinking like Star Wars Force.
Yeah,
Sorry.
well,
This guy's
both are
on.
acceptable.
They radio. They're pretty much, people think they're making jokes. Tell them to shoot it, chase it.
it's
They
no-
file an official report,
It's no
and they're
joke. It's no joke.
no joke, and they're ridiculed to the point where they have to quit. Very unfortunate.
Classic UFO.
Tough gig.
No one believes you. Call you crazy. Gotta quit your job. But they probably seen some Italian entities in there.
Or some like breakdancing, silver suited.
You know what? Freddie Silva did say there's a whole bunch of different species. So each race has a different specialty. Some are dancing, some are barbecuing.
Yeah.
Can I hang out with the barbecue guys?
You can if you want those shitty pancakes.
I just want dimmies.
What?
Dim Sims. Fuck, you guys don't know.
He's crazy Aussie. All your Aussie listeners probably know what he's talking about.
Just think of pierogies, but put them on a barbie, and then better again.
I could get on board with that.
Just goodness, mate. Like that's one thing I'm looking forward to going back home.
What's they
Dimmies.
called?
Dim Sims.
I thought that was a Chinese thing.
Well, actually,
Dim
no.
sum?
Not dim sum, dim sim.
Yeah, but isn't it the same thing as
You
dim sum?
changed one vowel.
We did, but if you actually Google and it's on Wikipedia, which must be true,
Of course.
but it's actually the Australian New Zealand take on dim sum. So we've altered it. The ingredients is unknown because it's probably mostly cat and a lot of
It's
cabbage.
platypus.
Platypus.
Oh, mate, those things are
Oh, the way it
poisonous.
can taste so good.
Yeah, exactly. But I've tried to find the recipe for them, and the only one I can find, there's a one on YouTube, and it's a bloke making them and cooking them and singing the recipe, but as he's doing it to I Come From the Land Down Under, and I just can't handle it.
Can you sing that song for us?
Like he's like, get some cabbage and some. Oh fuck!
It's the national anthem, correct? It is the national anthem of Australia.
Not quite
unofficial.
It's unofficial. But yeah, this guy's singing it, and he's trying to make a recipe at the same time. Well, he is, and it's so cheesy and just so like terrible. I couldn't sit through the whole thing.
We're gonna look that up on After Hours. We're gonna watch it because we gotta see it.
Okay, we'll do it.
We gotta see it.
Yeah, it's anyway. Sorry,
Tangent for a little dim sum.
Oh fuck! I want dim
Now
sum.
he's fucking frothing over here. He's starving.
Deep fry the bastards. Give them to me. Steam them. I don't care. Give me dimmies.
HAARP.
On to HAARP.
Yeah.
Now, Dan, before you give us a quick rundown on HAARP, I believe someone has sent us in some music that we're going to play in the background when we're doing a quick summary of the case file.
Oh, I was gonna. Yeah.
Are we going to do that today?
I wasn't going to, but you know what? Let's do it. I'm gonna give him a shout out here. I know I'm gonna do things out of order. I'm gonna give Zell's Prolapser of the Day to our new music correspondent, Mark.
Woo woo.
I think his name's Mark Yeager or Jaeger. I can't really tell, but you know what? He's a legit film music composer. He's done a whole bunch of fucking videos.
Wow.
I was pulling up his website really quick here because I didn't have it up. But he's worked on some like big. He's worked on fucking 22 Bullets, Starship Troopers 3, Scorpion King 2. What else? Shanghai, Nightfall, Halo Nightfall. Those are the ones I recognize. But he's probably got a dozen on here. So he's a legit film music composer.
Good work, mate.
Super neat.
And he made a quick little. Well, he's making us a new intro too, but he's also made us like a little like intro. What are we calling it? A description intro. So when we're introducing case files, this is going to be playing. So it's background. It's pretty sweet.
Nice.
There you go. So we did that. There we go.
Do it, Dan.
Let's hear Dan.
HAARP.
Okay, HAARP is a stringed musical instrument that were been known since antiquity in Asia and Africa, dating back to 3500 BC.
Man, they're hard to play. Fuck.
We're talking about the other one.
Yes.
We are.
Oh man, all my notes are wrong.
Yeah. Actually, I brought in a harp. I was gonna play it for you guys live, but no, let's grab that.
Zell is classically trained in the harp.
Yes,
in case you didn't know.
I learned how to play harp before guitar.
I'm drunkenly trained.
You ever put up?
And trust me, just like the heart machine, if he starts playing, I'll kill myself.
Oh.
Okay, the harp system is the one that we do know about, and the one that we'll primarily be talking about is the one in Gakona, Alaska, which is the HAARP is what's the acronym for it is high frequency active auroral research program. Okay, so I don't know where the F goes. I guess high frequency is hyphenated, or supposed to be, but I don't know because then it would be HAARP. I don't.
Yeah, I think they just did it. They just made it sound a little nicer.
It sounds cool
without the F, I guess.
The official story is that HAARP was a joint project between the United States government and a couple of other universities or educational places, and it was designed basically to project high frequency and low frequency streams of radio transmit, like radio waves, into the ionosphere. And so the ionosphere is the highest part of the atmosphere. So you have like the troposphere and the atmosphere and ionosphere is at the very top. And basically what they wanted to be able to do with this is scientists wanted to be able to study the effects of what they could do, like study things that how the sun, like solar flares and how those affect the ionosphere and how those affect weather patterns, or how they have an effect on the jet stream. Basically things that they couldn't really, you can't really duplicate, or you can't really isolate all the factors in like studying weather because there's so many intricate factors and stuff that goes together. But they were hoping that they would build this facility and be able to at least control one factor about at least the radio waves and how the sun interacts with our ionosphere to produce weather effects and things like that. So that's pretty much the official story.
So the official story is it was done for educational purposes only. Pretty
right.
much.
It's about I guess construction wise, it's about 180 interconnected antennas, and they basically just form one giant antenna, radio. It's just like a giant radio broadcast antenna. It is. But instead of broadcasting out, they're designed to broadcast up. So,
yeah, exactly. It's like 180 towers. They were about 70 feet each. So this is a massive complex of towers. And I read a stat that said it was about, the biggest AM transmitting signal is 50,000 watts. And
right.
when the HAARP is powered on, it can go up. It's about, I don't even know how you even do this math here, but it's 7,200 of those stations. So 7,200 times 50,000 watts.
Hang on, I'll get it.
Is the final, is like the actual amount of power it can pump straight up.
72,000?
7,200 50,000 watt stations is what they say. Is how much power this small portion of antenna can project, but it projects it straight upwards, and when it hits the ionosphere, it does a bunch of shit. We're gonna go through it. 360 million watts.
Is that the right math?
360 watts.
Yeah, I'd say that's right, man.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fucking watts.
Yeah.
A lot of fucking
gigawatts.
watts.
No gigawatts though.
No gigawatts.
I think the basic idea was to have those radio waves that the facility is able to produce. Those radio waves have an effect on the ionosphere, basically being able to vibrate the molecules in the ionosphere and being able to push it out or like take out a section of the ionosphere. And basically what would happen is they'd be able to see what happens when you push out a part of the ionosphere. I know it sounds crazy and it sounds really, really serious, but basically when you remove part of the ionosphere, then the stratosphere moves into that area and you could actually affect the jet stream, or you could have a somewhat minimal effect on, and if you expand that outwards, studying that kind of effect, if you expand on that outwards, you could see how they would large effects in weather happen.
Yeah, and like some of the other applications could be in the military for sure. I read a lot about it. Is they're trying to see like a over horizon radar. So experimenting in the ionosphere can give you over horizon radar, so you can see farther than you should on radar. Is another one of their they say harmless techniques that they're trying to harness using this thing.
Right. And that was the actual, I think that's the HAARP facility formerly was an over-the-horizon radar station.
Yeah,
and that's what it was.
Yeah.
And when it was pretty much towards the end of the Cold War, and when they decided that they were going to shut it down because a lot of over-the-horizon radar was falling out of favor with the military in favor of AWACS, the planes that fly around. Basically having mobile radar stations. So you have the planes with the big, dinner plates on the back. You have those kinds of planes that fly out, and they're basically mobile radar stations that serve the same function as over-the-horizon radar, but they are both mobile, so they're harder to strike or disable, and then they're also they can serve as air control. They also serve as air control towers, like mobile air control towers. So it's pretty cool. So once they started doing that, they used that on a large scale. They started decommissioning their over the horizon radar sites, which HAARP was one, and that's where we enter Senator Ted Stevens.
Wait.
You guys know that?
But a HAARP, this HAARP was not established till 93. So that
it didn't come online until 93, and I don't know if it was actually built or it was actually there was an over the horizon radar station already in Gakona, Alaska, and I think it was this facility. But right. they hadn't changed it into, they hadn't modified it into what its function as HAARP was, or its the actual things, but it was an over the horizon radar station. So it was already ready to be. They're already broadcasting radio frequencies. They're already ready to broadcast frequencies. And this large facility basically was Ted Stevens was like, well, if you're going to shut it down, well, how about you can funnel. I mean, this guy was pretty good at getting federal. That was his whole thing. He was really good at getting federal funds for his state, Alaska. So as a senator, he was like, well, what if he put forth the proposal? How about instead of shutting it down, you guys can put more money in it and we can use it for science experiments and even, science experiments and missile defense and studying weather patterns and things like that.
Right.
So I think that's basically what happened.
So did you come across, I came across this guy, Bernard Eastman, and he's the guy who had the original patent for this type of ionosphere heater, I guess is the actual first patent it was. And what he came up with is there was I guess there's a whole bunch of natural gas reserves in that part of Alaska. But just because the state they're in, they're very hard to excavate and get out and ship to whoever else. It's not really feasible to do that. But what he proposed is that they expand that station there to pretty much go forward with his patent. It's because there's a pretty much unlimited supply of energy here. So the number I came across was the amount of natural gas there that's just sitting there, it can't be shipped out because it'd be too expensive to excavate, could power the entire United States, all the whole thing for a full year. Everything, every plant, every fucking thing. So quite a bit of power.
I could get rid of the gas pretty quickly.
So I guess what it was, I guess, is they built that there just because this is the theory, or this is what they tell you. They built that there just because they had so much not free, but they had energy there that was easily tapped. And he this guy Bernard Eastman, he had the original patent for ionized, an ionosphere heater. That's pretty much what I came across. And then, Braden, you still there?
Yeah, I'm listening.
I thought we might have lost you.
No, I'm just listening intently.
Just intrigued.
Just intrigued. Okay, so that's pretty much the basis. What they tell you it's for, how it was established. Do you want to say, should we tell people right now that this is not the only HAARP center in the world? There's multiple.
They got that mobile HAARP fucking ship that looks eerie as hell.
Well, I was going to come to that after, but yeah, they have the mobile version.
The SBX-1.
Sounds cool. Sounds like something that Cobra Commander would have.
Fuck yeah.
It looks when you look at this thing, if you saw it just looks like an eerie military thing. You're like, what the fuck is that? It's giant white orbs on it.
Those are radar domes.
Is that what?
That's what they are. I mean, they're radar domes.
No, I don't fucking know.
I mean, if you have a really big one, because on the ship I used to have, we had a bunch of them. So you have the little radar domes, the little white. You ever see those places? Those are just radar domes, and then they broadcast out radio waves and receive them. So you have multi-directional radar. You can broadcast out radio and receive it at when it comes back. And if you have, at the HAARP one, how we're saying it needs to be so big, yeah, a really big one. I guess the little ship would have to have a big, huge one on top. But yeah, they look super cool. I think it's neat.
So there's the mobile one, which that plays into a conspiracy a little bit more. But there's also more around the world. Dan, did you have a list of the other ones that you found?
Yeah, no, it's there's another one north. Still in Alaska, in another city of Alaska, there's another HAARP facility. These are the formally acknowledged ones. There could be other ones that we don't know about, but there's one. I know there's another one in Alaska. There's one in Western Europe. There's one in Russia, and there's one in Puerto Rico. I think those are the other ones. So
those are some of the ones that have been confirmed, and there could very well be more.
Yeah.
Right.
So now you start to move the conspiracy side. So if this was a high frequency active auroral research program, and it was just done just for educational purposes, and all of a sudden around the world, all these sites start popping up with the same type of ionosphere heating technology. Why? Right there, I'm like, okay, well, if it's just for research and it's harmless and they're just trying to see the benefits of what they're doing, why all of a sudden do they start popping up all over the world? And why do you have a mobile one?
Yeah.
Like what?
And
what's
there's
the
a lot of stuff that lines up that's really weird. Like I'm on the side of like, okay, I understand, weather research is super cool and it's really neat, but there's also kind of the fact that, when I was reading the research about it, is that the HAARP facility, you can't go inside of it. They won't let you go inside. There are a lot of other government facilities, jointly government funded facilities. You can go to places where they do nuclear weapons research, Los Alamos. You could go to any of the ones down in like New Mexico, and they'll give you a guided tour and they'll let you see any declassified material that you want to see.
Well, I don't want to.
They won't do that at HAARP. They won't do that.
Well, I was actually read an article where about a year ago now they were allowing people into the Alaskan, one of the Alaska HAARP bases because of this whole I guess conspiracy going on, and this might be jumping ahead a little bit, but they did open their doors to the public because there were all these conspiracies, and a university actually took over the funding of it, which again, I might be jumping ahead talking about the whole funding side of things, but where are we here?
No, it was the University of Fairbanks now.
Correct.
So what happened in 93 it was established.
Yeah.
In 95, here's where a little bit of conspiracy comes in for me. So originally it was owned by like I've lost that company.
What I've got here is that it was actually I don't know the actual company name, but it was the Air Force and Navy, the U.S. Navy and Air Force that were in charge of it, and the University of Alaska Fairbanks weren't happy about this, and when they took over, so they were actually opening the doors, inviting the public to come and visit for free and doing tours. And
when was that though? When was that? When did they start doing that?
This article was end of August 2006, saying that it was like that weekend. So it was like August, September last year that they're actually.
So there's
there's
still like 10 years in there.
And well, this is 2016, not 2006, 2016.
Okay.
Last year.
Right.
And the spokesperson was quoted saying, "We hope to show people that he's not capable of mind control and not capable of weather control and all the other things that we've been accused of."
But after they've gutted it.
After they took everything down, after they took out all the cool stuff.
That's the thing.
And it's like, because it's not funded by the government anymore. So it's
and
like,
they're
they
going
can
to show you what it's not. They're not going to like, oh yeah, hang on, there's this secret room down here where we do all the shit. We're not going to show you that. Like, they're going to show you what they want to show you to make you believe or make you think that it's all okay.
Yeah, 100%. That's a work. Like having people come in, like there's nothing there that
it's a cover.
100%, without a doubt.
Yeah, you have like a whole almost 20 years in there where there's stuff going on and nobody really knew what was happening. And then after the government steps out, it's like, okay, well, they probably told the university, like, we're going to take everything out. Don't worry about it. And, or we're just going to take some of the classified government equipment out. So you guys don't need to be here for this. And they actually just like cemented up a bunch of rooms with stuff in it. It could just be like stuff down there. You'll never know.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's get into it. I think they're using HAARP to control the weather. 100%.
So that's the big conspiracy.
That's the big conspiracy. And one thing I was reading and looking into was talking about the tsunami that hit Thailand and stuff in 2004.
Yeah, PP Islands.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Christmas. Was it Christmas that happened?
Yeah, it was around the holidays. Yeah,
around the holidays.
Boxing Day, I think.
They were saying that like they think that maybe that was a HAARP test gone wrong because there was auroras spotted in that area, and that's super low and super rare in that areas to get auroras. And then the flood hit. And they said, or the earthquake hit, the tsunami. And then I was tying that in because like ever since like all these storms and all this stuff's been happening as we're getting more and more aurora buildup, right? Activity, like more auroras, like almost every night. Like it's been crazy, right? Like things are starting to calm down. The auroras are going right. So I'm wondering if there's a connection between visible auroras and extreme weather conditions.
Yeah, and some people might be wondering as to how how basically a giant radio transmitter could cause earthquakes.
Yeah.
Not just changes in the weather is fine. Like manipulating the stratosphere or the ionosphere is one thing, but actually manipulating like fault lines and things like that, that's different. Has anybody got anything on that? I mean, I could talk about it, but
well, just like when I came across it, like I can see like science wise, like sure, if you push the atmosphere up and it can push the jet stream a little bit, you can direct weather, not necessarily create weather, but you can direct weather.
Right.
But when it comes to earthquakes, I think like you can't just cause an earthquake in somewhere where there's no fault line, right? So you can't just be like, all right, these guys have this, but there's no fault line within 1,000 kilometers, but we're going to cause an earthquake. So you have to like, maybe it's possible if you like, this goes back to like a Tesla type of thing, right? Like his fucking oscillator machine.
His oscillating machine.
So like this tiny like pocket held device could like find the resonant frequency of a building and start to, all the molecules would start to shake and the building would start to rumble. That's like, that's that kind of story there. So I guess if
those resonant frequencies, basically you start it in one place and they actually get stronger like the farther they go out. So you have those ones, like those. That's what Tesla was kind of working with. I think his whole resonant thing was actually an accident. He turned on his oscillator and it just started vibrating, and then it happened to hit that resonant frequency within the strata of that certain area of New York where his laboratory was, and it started. He didn't feel it where he was as much, but as it moved out further, like people could feel it in the buildings because it got stronger as it moved out. And we'll probably do a podcast about cool stuff Tesla's did someplace.
Tesla's getting done for sure.
But even speaking of that, like I remember reading like articles where it was saying like they could potentially with this device they could have like just unbelievably strong lightning storms that are just obliterating an area.
That'd be so cool.
Or irradiating. Like
horrifying.
I read this one article that when they went into the Iraq War, actually this was on Jesse Ventura's conspiracy theory. So I don't know. They're talking about the Iraq War and how like they think they may have used HAARP to irradiate the battlefield, and when the tanks rolled in, like all the Iraqi soldiers just like came out in a daze and like confused and just surrendered. Like they were just fucked up, right?
Yeah.
Weather manipulation is not as a use as a weapon of war is not something that's new. It's not something that's relatively new. I mean, U.S. military at least has been doing it for like 50 years, or at least 50 years back in like the 1950s or something during the first Indochina War. They were using cloud seeding techniques because they wanted to extend out monsoon season for some of these places and like flood strategically valuable places that they wanted to take out of commission, or they thought people were holed up. They would take planes, and they'd use cloud seeding, which is basically taking charged particles or charged materials, positive charged materials, and you dump them into a cloud where it might has a possibility. You can basically just increase the chance of rain. And so if you have these clouds that have rain, or you can make them rain more. So they would cloud seed these planes or these clouds, and you could just they try to extend out the monsoon season, make more rain.
Right, like cloud seeding is like a proof. Like you can do that. People can manipulate the weather.
Yeah, there are tons of different patented techniques that do work. I mean, I know the king of Thailand, or the previous king of Thailand, who's dead now. He's got a patent on one technique of cloud seeding that they used here to gain some relief on droughts in the areas in Thailand, and it's something that we've been doing forever. But the funny thing is that the UN, the United Nations, actually had to put down, like in a ban, like they had to put a weapons ban on anything that has to do with the manipulation of weather and using it as a weapon of war. There's an actual 1977 agreement that they had all the major nations sign that they wouldn't use weather as a weapon of war. Like it's just weird that you have to have something like that. Yeah,
it was called the Convention on the Prohibition of Military or Any Other Hostile Use of Environmental Modification Techniques.
And
signed in Geneva, May 18th, 1977.
That's a long time.
Which means they were on. If they didn't have it then, they were on their way to figuring out how to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Well, China has its own like weather manipulation bureau. They have an actual one that employs up to 32,000 people or something, and they say they use it mostly for. They try to avoid hailstorms and things like that. Like I said, by either dispersing or creating clouds or high pressure areas to try and deflect major weather disasters in China. But they have an actual weather manipulation bureau, and I mean that's their stated mission. And you don't know, maybe they have other uses for that stuff that they're researching.
Of course they do. It's like most stuff. It starts off as some sort of military thing, and then 10 years down the track, it becomes mainstream technology with a lot of our technology. And
I mean, it's too big to be like something that you would just write off. I mean, you would never stop researching it. I mean, being able to control the weather. I mean, it's the ultimate.
Everyone wants to have the perfect weather. Why do you go on holidays during winter? You get away from, the cold, or if you love the cold, you'll go somewhere where it's super cold but not wet. Like, you're not going to go to Australia for the bloody winter because it's shitty and wet and miserable and windy. You go to Canada. You go to Japan for the snow.
The difference though for the conspiracy is they're not using weather manipulation for the good.
For good. Yeah.
They're using weather manipulation to either steer hurricanes or cause earthquakes. It's pretty much, it goes along with the NWO agenda.
Yeah.
They're like, well, there's theories on like it is the main weapon that in the end will be used to depopulate the world.
Right. The culling.
Yeah, sure. Whatever you want to call it.
Could you even, let's say like maybe they're not even there yet, but could you like imagine that these things, they can be used, but in a minor sense, like say these hurricanes that were coming and just pounding the States, right? Like maybe Russia's using their HAARP to help, power up these storms before they hit the States. You know what I mean? Like, not saying that, but maybe they're being used in a silent war already against each other. You know what I mean?
Potentially, for sure. And then get all their...
California's been dry. It's had some of the worst fires on records, right? The East Coast just getting pounded by storms.
Well, you have a look at the whole of North America at the moment. Okay, there's a post the other day where it was like, basically most of Canada is under fire. Other parts are getting ridiculous floods and stuff. We've got hurricanes happening. We have earthquakes happening. You deplete a nation of all their resources. They're worrying about whatever's gone down, whatever's happening, and then all the resources and the population are trying to help out one another. And while they're down and out, trying to rebuild, bang, you come in and attack from another side. Got them.
Boom.
Yeah. It's control of the weather is a terrifying idea that you could control. You could basically hold entire nations hostage.
For sure.
Like, well, we're just gonna keep your rain. You don't get any rain this year.
You didn't pay for rain this month, so you're not getting rain.
Yeah.
You didn't give us a sufficient number of human sacrifices, so we're not gonna give you any rain. We're gonna cause massive earthquakes. If you do get rain, it's gonna be a huge lightning storm that's gonna occur over highly populated areas. And having that kind of control over something that even like weather is not. Weather can be predicted, but it's always like even weather science, meteorology is not. It's not a 100%.
The most. Yeah. The weatherman's different story again, but
yeah, and weather is. I mean, it's a system. Like weather systems are incredibly intricate and interconnected, and you can't. It's hard for me to be able to like, even if it were a new world order, that they could actually control the weather with such accuracy to be like, okay, we're going to whip up a hurricane here, or we're going to set off a bunch of tornadoes over here.
No, I don't think that's the case.
Right. I think they're just powering them up. I think
say this. So you got a storm brewing in the Atlantic. It's whipping up. You have your mobile HAARP system. You have the HAARP array around the world. You're like, okay, to feed this hurricane to make it bigger or stronger, it needs cold air or hot air. I'm not actually sure exactly how hurricanes work. It's a mixture of it's a mixture of hot and cold depending on the atmosphere. I don't know exactly what it is.
And the hemisphere too.
Yeah,
Well,
and
they
it's like
call them different things,
Well,
right?
it's
the
different,
water temperature is low,
cyclone,
like,
hurricane, yeah.
so-
Yeah, so like that's the case. If you had, say, I think if that's a conspiracy and a hurricane started, and you had the potential to push this hurricane to a target, or to make it stronger, or to steer it away. You know what? To steer it away, like that's for the good. Like, oh, it's gonna hit Florida, push it out, go to sea. But the conspiracy is that they're doing it on purpose.
I think that was one of the reasons that what might have affected a decision to build like a HAARP system in Puerto Rico is that they would be able to create like high pressure shields. Like you'd be able to create areas of high pressure using the high frequency or the ELF frequencies. If you've targeted the atmosphere, heat it up enough and create like a high pressure zone that would deflect hurricanes. Like the hurricanes would like bump into them and just kind of move off, or they would change trajectory enough that it wouldn't cause less damage, or you could mitigate damage from a direct hurricane collision with land.
Right. Yeah, I'm more on board. Like if there is a conspiracy, you can control the weather. I don't think you can create the weather, but you can steer it. I think you could steer it or amplify. If what these people are, if it's legit, like a malicious attempt to harness the weather. But if, like we said before, like they had to do a treaty. They actually thought about this. Like, all right, we're getting close. We can't do it yet, but in the future, people will be able to cause like havoc on go to war on countries using the weather. And they're like, okay, we can't do that. Like, let's fucking put a stop to that right now. So if that comes up, if that has to come up in like the UN and like the nations have to sign off on that, you're like, okay. There's actually I came across another treaty. This is between the United States and Canada. On the Canadian Global Affairs Canada website, Treaty E103819. It's an agreement between Canada and the United States relating to the exchange of information on weather modification activities. So if one country is modifying the weather, they're supposed to let the other guys know. So
we're weather buddies.
Yeah, we're weather buddies. So if like America's like brewing all these storms, they're supposed to be like, all
Thunder
right.
buddies.
Thunder buddies.
Thunder buddies.
Thunder buddies. Good.
Yeah, so pretty much it's just like a fucking nine article treaty. Go look it up. That between the Canada and the United States, like, hey, if you guys are like experimenting on the weather here, you got to let us know so we can like plan accordingly, or like vice versa. So like these articles exist. Weather modification definitely exists in some form. I don't know this now because I like to read both sides, right? So the debunking is always like, HAARP is so big. Sure, it pounds a bunch of energy into the atmosphere, but it's like not even a percentage viewable or comparable to like the actual sun percentage.
Yeah,
right.
It's relatively small, like in the grand scheme of things. Like within looking at the atmosphere, like the size of the Earth and the ionosphere itself, like punching the tiny little hole is like dropping like a needle in the ocean. Like you throwing a needle in the ocean is basically what some people equate it to.
Exactly. So when you start to debunk it, you're like, all right, you can do it. Sure, you can. We can put like energy into the ionosphere, and you can push it out, and sure, and that maybe that does like move the whole atmosphere just a little bit. Is that enough to really steer the jet stream? Like, I don't really know.
Well, what I'm saying is like if they're using like VHF, if they're using FM frequencies. If they're using FM frequencies, mostly like the typical limit of it is maybe 100 miles, but that's in clear weather and line of sight.
Right.
And that's in good conditions. That's in perfect conditions. So I would think that if you wanted to produce enough radio frequency to get to the ionosphere, which can be up to, triple that distance, 300 miles, something like that, and to have some sort of effect on that upper atmosphere, I would think that you would need a lot of power, or you would need a lot of broadcasting power to push that much energy into the ionosphere. So it makes sense why it's so big.
Yeah, say you had all of these stations working in tandem across the planet. Like, is that big enough? Is that enough power to steer something so far away? Like, I'm more on board if you had mobile versions and you wanted to go steer the ionosphere, like steer something, steer a hurricane.
Dude,
you get close to it.
Butterfly effect.
Yeah.
So little change somewhere does a big change somewhere else.
Yeah.
But then you would have to be able to calculate
how do you calculate
and I don't think that's I don't think that's something they can do. I'm with Zell.
So if they signed that in 77.
I'm not saying they can't do it.
I think in 77 they were more talking about like it's cloud seeding and that kind of thing, like artificial creation of rain, which can really mess up a lot of things. But I don't know if they're specifically thinking about this. But somebody probably was like, whoa, man, like, probably some of them at least read comic books and had, Dr. Doom creating a weather control machine. Like somebody could have saw that coming.
Like, say they fire it up the first time. They're like, okay, well, let's put whatever this much into the air and see what happens. And they're like, boom. And then they do that is the cause. And then the effect is they're like, holy shit. Right.
Yeah.
So
there's
so you're saying
there's a story like
the tsunami in, right. We caused a tsunami halfway around the world. They're like, okay, well, let's,
I'm gonna believe that, but it can't be aimed though. If that's the case, like if they did it, then the result was by accident and wasn't targeted. Cause there's no way you could, I don't think if you shot, cause I remember reading like the HAARP area of effect is about 60 miles wide in the ionosphere. So you shoot that up, so that's a tiny, tiny, tiny amount of anything. So if that does cause an earthquake or something from doing that, then that's just pure butterfly effect, like completely like chaos theory, like random, right? Which I think
the way that they would be doing it. Yeah, I'd probably be more on board of them creating like the mobile HAARPs creating earthquakes. Basically, how that works is like they skip how people say it works, or conspiracy theorists say it works, is you bounce off like ELF, like extra low frequency vibration, like an extra low frequency broadcast off the atmosphere. Like you bounce it and then it hits the ground, and then it vibrates the ground to a point where you can trigger earthquakes in places that would probably, they are earthquake prone or are ready to have an earthquake, and you can just trigger that. Now, what I find terrifying is that like these are causes of earthquake, and if you're thinking about causing an earthquake somewhere, I would think that if somebody had weather manipulation technology and they were going to cause an earthquake, you would just hit the center of the United States and you'd set off the Yellowstone caldera. Like that place is ready to go.
Yeah, if you really
and
want
if
to
you had like an earthquake machine, like every time I hear about earthquakes, or even I hear about North Korea like doing underground nuke tests, or anybody, those kinds of things, like that's what I'm like, they're getting ready to do that. Like, because all you would have to do is just like set it off. You just like, the fuse is already there. You just like, just give it a little nudge.
Yep.
And then it would go. And that always makes me pretty scared, Oof. That's scary.
Okay, now
that's what I was thinking.
Now you just talked about the ELF, like the extremely low frequency waves.
Right.
So I have an article here because I really tried, because on this topic there's like a million articles, a lot of them are so vastly different that it's really hard to like find like something legit. So I found. This is as legit as I could find with not being from like any type of mainstream news or any news at all. It's actually there was a conference in Honolulu, Hawaii in August 1st, 1997. It was called the Inter-Society for Energy Conversion Engineering Conference. And there was a bunch of questions to ask about HAARP. So there's like a list of questions here. And one of the questions was, will HAARP be used to generate ELF? And it pretty much says, no, it will not be used to generate ELF, but a side effect of shooting these frequencies into the ionosphere is that the ionosphere rebounds ELF back down to Earth. So it actually does cause these things, but they call them beneficial that doesn't say why. So it actually does cause ELF waves, even though it doesn't, like they're actually not shooting ELF waves into the ionosphere. From what
they're just bouncing back. They're just
so whatever comes back is like the
residual cause.
Yeah, is the residual cause of doing that, and the rebound of that shooting back is ELF. So if you go that direction, another conspiracy of HAARP is the mind control. So I guess the general theory is if you can
mind control machine activated. We are now in control. Hypnotoad, all hail Hypnotoad. Obey Hypnotoad.
Support our
all glory to the Hypnotoad.
Support our Patreon.
Anyways, so the theory is that bouncing of the ELF waves back down, because if you start going in really low hertz, you can cover like a huge distance. So like let's take AM radio. Some AM radio stations at night can bounce, like say you have like, I know there's like coast to coast AM, at nighttime can reach like 3,000 miles away, right? It can go way farther than during the day because there's no sun interference. So the theory is that if you're bouncing these HAARP waves at night into the ionosphere, and it's so now you're way up, you're hundreds of kilometers up in the atmosphere, and now you're bouncing these ELF low frequency waves. They can reach like thousands and thousands of miles away. And the theory is that these waves resonating at certain frequencies. So like your human brain like operates pretty much in like 3 frequencies, like beta, alpha, and theta waves. And obviously that topic gets really complicated. But to break it down really simple, what I could find is beta waves are like your peak concentration. So it's 13 to 40 hertz. So that's when like you're trying really hard. You're really focused on doing whatever task it is. Like
Braden reading,
Braden reading.
reading.
What was it? Neil deGrasse
Dr.
Tyson's.
Seuss.
No, Neil deGrasse. Yeah, Braden reading one fish, red fish, or whatever, fucking blue fish, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Braden reading that.
It's green eggs and ham currently.
Right. Okay. Sorry.
I do not like green eggs and ham.
And then you have your alpha waves, like 7 to 12 hertz, and that's deep relaxation. This is more for meditation techniques, and then there's also other applications for these hertz. And then theta waves are like pretty much in a waking dream when you're like in super deep dreaming state, like almost like
REM,
lucid dreaming. Yeah, like your deep REM sleep, so you're really low. And supposedly the theory is that at certain frequencies, if they are, so I'm guessing it's some type of like alpha wave. If that could produce an alpha wave for a long period of time, it would actually like dull societies, like it would dull your brain, it would dull like your concentration, it would just make you more placid and docile and like more receptible to information. So if you're fed a bunch of stuff on the news, but you're constantly every night being bombarded with these waves, you just get a little bit stupider and a little bit stupider, and that's kind of like the dumbing down of the population theory.
Could they do a South Park? Could they pull a South Park and...
I don't know what that reference... I know South Park, but I don't know the reference
rip
really.
out the brown note. The good old brown note.
I don't know exactly what the brown note is, but I heard it is theoretically possible if you find the resonant frequency of people's bowels that they will evacuate themselves.
Yeah.
But now, would each person's like resonant frequency of like it would have to be unique to each person?
I think it would. I agree with that. I think like not like everyone's very similar, but it might be like just like 1% off, and then it doesn't work, right? It's gotta be perfect.
Funny though, if like only like 5% of the population
start shitting
on
themselves.
Earth shit themselves and no one else does, it'd be like, you shit yourself. What's going on? Like
nerds.
Yeah. That like that's what I would use it for. Like if I was in control of the weather, I'd make people shit themselves just for the laughs.
Just for you know what?
You know what? It'd make the world.
If you did that,
funny.
No overall agenda.
If you had control,
no dark agenda. Just relax.
Yeah, if you had control of this weather manipulation system, but all you use it for is make people to shit themselves, and after a couple times, like, gotcha. You know, people would be like, you know what?
Do
great,
it again.
Great prank. Great prank.
Do it again.
It's like you're gonna roll over the mobile HAARP, the giant mobile HAARP ship to make like all the people in France like shit themselves. Apologize to anybody in France who lives in France. The French are great people, but
you know what? It's a military thing. How many men and women out there would still be fighting if they shut themselves? Like you'd chafe up.
It just wouldn't be. It's not sanitary.
It's not sanitary.
Exactly. Like, and it's not a harmful thing, but it's an embarrassing and it'd slow you down. It'd be a great defensive mechanism.
It's like what's it called? Like that microwave gun that the guys use to like superheat the moisture on your skin.
Yeah.
Riot control or whatever.
Yeah.
And instead of that, you make people poop themselves.
Just poopies.
Anyways, a little tangent there.
Sorry.
The brown note is theoretically possible. I don't know if it's possible through HAARP. But the mind control is like, that's one of the big ones. They're like, oh, okay, if they can shoot these fucking waves across the whole United States or whole North America or whole Europe, is that part of it? What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I read a couple articles. I watched a couple of documentaries about people being able to manipulate the frequencies in your brain or the brain waves. And you could produce effects. I mean, it's been reported that people have been able to produce effects like fear specifically of the dark for some reason. So you can have fear of the dark, and you can also cause people to like lapse into complacency. So they're kind of saying that that's another purpose of HAARP is to just keep people, you keep people in the emotional state that you want them. If you want them in a heightened state of paranoia or fear, like you can do that. Or if you want them to just, be lax and not worry about things, if you want to do something else, you can also create that. So, I mean, it's just a different type of military application or however you'd want to influence people that way.
Right.
Pretty neat.
Okay, so you got HAARP controlling weather. There's patents.
HAARP control mines.
There's patents for the weather. I didn't actually find a patent for controlling mines.
HAARPs and mines.
HAARPs and mines. Now, I did find some interest. I found a lot of patents. So what I was trying to talk about before, and I said like, oh, I lost a company. I found it. There's actually been a little conspiracy here tonight. I've lost the same article twice, and I can never find it again.
Did you lose it
like,
again?
I lost it again for like 10 minutes. I was looking for it. Anyways, I found it. So the original people who developed HAARP it was called ARCO. It was Atlantic Richfield Company, is what it standed for, and they were just a liquefied natural gas company. But the company that took it over, that really started developing it, was called APTI, and they held 12 patents that they claimed that were going to use or try and use with the construction of the HAARP. And some of these patents are pretty crazy. So say you don't believe anything about weather control. Say you're like, okay, it's HAARP is perfectly educational. It was just done just to extend like radio communications or just see what happened when you've shot that shit up there.
Or try and prevent a hurricane coming.
Or like non-nefarious turn. Like
if they wanted to.
If they wanted to. Say like try and prevent it. Say you believe that. Now there's 12 main patents to it. And a lot of them you probably expect. It's like, first one, ionosphere and/or magnetosphere, altering a region in the Earth's atmosphere for those two, ionosphere and magnetosphere. So like that's one of the patents, and that's what they're trying to do. So they were just trying to experiment with that and see what happened. Method for producing a shell of relativistic particles at an altitude above the Earth's surface. So that's part of it too. Like okay, like just seeing what it does. Method and apparatus for creating an artificial electron cyclotron heating region of plasma. I don't even know what that means. Does anyone have any idea? What that means?
This is the patent. I still think some. Yeah,
these are patents.
I still feel like people like they word these things where they're just like, "Hey, this might happen." That would be cool.
It's like a waste
if that
management
happened,
technician who is a garbage man. It depends on the way you word things, but
to get a patent though is different.
The thing is, like these are patents you can Google. You can go on the US patent site and you can actually look, and these are legit patents. These aren't just some hack things. They're actual patents that people have put forward.
To get a patent, if no one's familiar with a patent is like intellectual property. So if you have an idea, say you have a new idea for a new trailer hitch, and you're like, oh, no one's done this before. I swear, no one's done it before. You do your patent search, and you're like, all right, I can't find anything like it. Then you go to like the board of whatever, like this different in Canada and the United States. Pretty much you present your business plan with your patent. You're like, okay, this is my idea. This is how my design works, and this is why it works, and this is how I can prove to you how it works.
And no one else can steal that.
So, and if you can do that, and the panel signs off, like whatever, there's different panels all over the world. But if your panel signs off, that means your idea had merit in some form, whereas like it's potential that it could work. So if you get the intellectual property, then no one else can do that patent. And there's 20, 15, 100-year patents.
So these patent guys can knock it back, saying, "Hey, what do you, mate?
They can just deny a patent. They're like, well, you can't prove to me you can do it, so there's no patent.
Right.
Or someone's already done it, so there's no patent.
So these patents, they've gone before a panel and they've been presented and they've gone, you know what? That's plausible.
The amount of research they've done and how they presented it, people say that
so it's kind of like
plausible.
It's Mythbusters.
So
there's
almost.
I found a patent US 201-000-72297A1 method for controlling hurricanes.
There you go.
Boom.
So someone presented that to somebody with proof that they could do it in some fashion.
Enough material and research to say, bang, I can control hurricanes.
Enough to say that it's plausible. Not necessarily that they could do it, but enough to say like with a little more advancement in technology, we could possibly do this. That's crazy, right?
But it hasn't worked because...
But obviously it's...
Irma just went... Boom.
Well, maybe they forced it there. That's
also,
the conspiracy.
this one's a weird too. Patent US 6506148B2, nervous system manipulation by electromagnetic fields from monitors.
Right?
Creating a video signal for displaying an image on the monitor, the image having intensity. Modulating the video signal for pulsing the image intensity with a frequency in the range of 0.1 hertz to 15 hertz, and setting the pulse frequency to the resonance frequency.
See, there's math. Like, I don't know anything about that, but to me, that just tells me there's math to it. Like, someone's tried it, done it. That may be with people who got epilepsy.
Or they're working on it and they're making progress enough that they want to patent it.
Well, yeah, man. Exactly. It'd probably be more towards like a more a more interactive cinematic experience, making scary movies scarier and porno movies, porno-er.
More porno.
more porno.
Yeah, and if there's one thing about pornos, I wish they were more porno-er.
Exactly.
Me too.
Okay, so we're gonna keep going through some more patents here. A lot of them are like just normal patents. They're like, okay, this one is a folded cross grid dipole antenna element. So that's something to do with the system, right? They're like, okay, that's never been done before. We're gonna patent that. Lightweight focusing reflector for space. Patent 5202689. Now you're starting to get, now there's another one, like artificial ionospheric mirror composed of a plasma layer. That's a patent. Creation of artificial ionization clouds above the Earth. So, cloud seeding. That's a patent. High resolution directional gamma ray detector. That's a patent. Obviously, it's for HAARP, so that has something to do with gamma ray detection. Something to do with ionosphere. I'm sure the ionosphere really deflects a lot of gamma rays from space. Now we kind of get some other stuff here. Defense system for discriminating between objects in space. So pretty much what this one says is a military application of HAARP could be, say there's an inbound missile coming for the States, and it's up a couple hundred kilometers, like intercontinental missile, right? They can push the atmosphere up and change the pressure of the air.
Kim Jong-un?
Say he launches one of his missiles, right? Say fucking North Korea does launch a fucking missile. The United States has the capability. They change the ionosphere enough where this missile is shooting that changes the air pressure and all that shit. It actually throws the missile off course, so it's a missile defense thing. That's one of the military applications of this.
That would be a great and legit use of it.
And that's a legit patent, and that's something they discussed while they were building it, and like maybe they tested it, maybe they didn't.
Where does the missile go?
Oh.
Just shoots off course and maybe it just crashes into a different country. Who knows?
Okay.
Fuck you, Australia.
Listen to this one. This one is weird and gets even crazier. Ready? US 6156356A.
I love your numbers,
This instant invention is directed to a pre-cooked pizza pop-up toaster product designed to be sold in the frozen state.
That's amazing.
Sounds awesome.
And so it's essentially pizza pops, and the fee has lapsed. It's saying on this, no one owns this patent right now for pizza pops.
Get on it. Edit this out. Take this out.
Oh, forget HAARP.
Don't let people know about this.
How have people let the patent for pizza pops lapse?
What happens after 20 years of a patent? It becomes public knowledge, and anyone can do it.
So then that's why.
So say you have a patent. So now, like, this patent's been out for so long, anyone in the world can develop this technology. It's public knowledge. Like, anyone can develop it.
So the guy probably couldn't find a way to manufacture it. Either couldn't get the funds together to get the manufacturing done, or he couldn't convince anybody to do it. So then it just lapsed, and now anybody can do it. And somebody probably was like, pizza pot. Well,
okay, so then here, say this, because there's if you look up hurricane control and stuff, there's so many patents with different kind of wordings, and they all have these various math and diagrams and such. So say if they really did have the patents on this HAARP machine and whatever, and they, oh my God.
Wow.
3, 4, 5, 6. Was that 6?
One short of an orgasm.
There you go. 7's an orgasm?
Oh,
yeah, I think so.
90%.
Sorry, tangent. Don't worry about it. Keep going.
25%.
I sneezed. I can't even.
21%.
I can't even remember what I was saying.
Okay, so just
They had the patent, so they let them
Okay.
lapse. But because it's 20 years and they know that it's got to be released, they flood the market with so many similar patents that it's almost impossible to decipher what's real and what's not at this point. And they're all in little pieces, right?
Sure. Yeah, so like patents, like, so any of us could develop. Holy shit! What the fuck was that? Anyway, any of us could develop patents, but we don't have the means or resources to do it. Okay, the last patent that's listed at this fucking
just quickly, all these patents that you're talking about right now, are
the
these,
US patents.
Yeah, but are these the 20-year-old ones or not?
Yeah, these are now over 20 years old.
Okay, so they're old as shit.
They're old. Yeah, this was like all these patents are in the late 80s or early 90s.
Okay,
pretty much all.
So the technology's been like the idea. Well, okay, the idea of the technology has been around for a long time.
For a long time.
So let's say theoretically, the way that technology in the world has progressed, that this could be quite possible.
They could even have new patents
that we don't know about that are way beyond this.
Like they filed these patents, and are like, okay, that didn't work, but we have a new way, which is now patentable also.
You try to do this, but we see a better one.
Exactly.
Okay. Sorry, continue.
So, but the last patent, U.S. patent 4873928, is for nuclear-sized explosions without radiation.
What?
Nuclear-sized explosions without radiation. And the theory of this one is, if you could pump enough power into the ionosphere, say you charge this motherfucker up with 1 billion or 2 billion or 5 billion watts of power.
So it's sort of like a death ray of some sort.
Some type of death, and you fucking constantly charge it up, and then you instantly turn off the power. The theory is that energy will spring back towards Earth, and all the energy will hit in a localized spot and just cause major devastation. That's what the conspiracy is.
But how can you aim that?
Well, like, it probably has something to do with gravity, too. So if you fucking say you threw one of these mobile fucking HAARP things in a city or an area.
So it's like a suicide bomber.
Or you had enough HAARP locations around to kind of triangulate a location.
Yep. Whatever you want, like, however you can do it. So you could shoot enough, and you could heat up the ionosphere enough, and it would expand into space, like a whole bunch. Say it goes out 100 miles.
How tough is this sphere?
How what?
How tough is this like outer layer that's like sucking shit?
Well, it's all
down?
frequency, so there's no real like substance to it. It's not like you can't really destroy it. You just expand it with like more energy put in, the more it expands.
You're right.
But usually it expands in a big, like the whole like half the globe will expand because the sun is hitting it. But at nighttime, if you were to shoot a whole bunch of this into one spot, as a theory, you could charge it up and it would rebound and cause like a gigantic explosion with no nuclear residue.
It's kind of like the tides, where the moon predicts the tides in the ocean, where like night and day it moves as well.
Well, yeah, because the sun hitting the ionosphere is what charges it.
Right. So
like if you artificially do
half
it,
of the Earth would be, depends on if you're a flat earther or not. But
no one listens to a flat earther to the show.
If you're on one side, the sun's going to be stronger and like draw it out one. And like
charge
it,
but equally.
Yeah,
right?
well, that's what I'm saying. Like it like almost like a hula hoop around the Earth, like a belly.
The sun has nothing to do with my explosion pattern, though.
No,
the explosion pattern is if at nighttime that you were heat up this one spot with enough energy, the pattern is that you could theoretically blow up a place on the planet with no nuclear radiation. It's pretty much that's the last patent I could find on the HAARP. So all the other ones kind of make sense. And that one you're like, well, someone thought of that and actually like try to like at least present it to somebody. Kind of weird.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. The stuff about that baffles me is this is 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. Anyways, I don't know. There's a lot on the HAARP. There's a lot of theories. The mind control stuff. Like, I don't really know, but... Braden?
We've lost him, haven't we?
I think we did.
Shit.
That I was going to talk about.
Oh,
Hello?
What's that?
hey, we got
Hello?
you,
Can
mate.
you hear me?
Yeah, man.
I couldn't
They
hear you.
going robot?
I couldn't hear you for a long time.
Oh, I said we've pretty much hit everything I want to talk to you. Other than they have cool pictures, like you can go look online of what they think is like HAARP clouds, and they've got the circle and they're all like really wavy. They're really it's actually really cool looking. So I tell everyone to go take a peek and look up some of the HAARP clouds. It's cool, some cool photos.
Like we definitely will continue with weather modification, like cloud seeding and chemtrails and all those other conspiracies, definitely. But the HAARP itself is
for
like,
sure.
There's multiple arrays. It's not just there's not just one in Alaska. There's multiple. There's mobile ones. If it was just for research purposes,
Oh, okay.
then this is my theory. Oh yeah, Byron has showed me a picture of what you're talking about. It's actually pretty crazy. They don't.
I have seen it. Like I've seen those clouds like as a young pup and stuff, and I was told they were like wave clouds.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
Like who knows really? But my theory is with HAARP.
My
Because
sister saw this one.
when I tried to talk about it earlier, I lost a website, but I found it. So what happened? So HAARP was developed by Arco, and then it was eventually sold to Raytheon, and Raytheon is a defense contractor for the United States. And Raytheon was founded by Vannevar Bush, way back in the fucking like 1930s. So if you go with a New World Order conspiracy and you hear the name Bush again, you're like, okay, so Raytheon owned this thing in '95. So what I think happened is, I think this is what happens with most technology. Someone develops it, and then they have it for like non-malicious purposes. Like, oh, we have this could do some good stuff. And then, the defense departments get involved, and they're like, okay,
We could use this.
Could it also do this or this or this? And they're like, oh, well, theoretically, yeah, it's possible they could. So they do a couple tests. They don't really do much with it. They don't make it public. And after a while, they're like, okay, you know what? This project, no more funding for this project. So they close it down. It's like, I think the actually military closed it down in like 2013, the HAARP one in Alaska.
Yeah.
They closed it down. And they're like, oh, it's decommissioned. They were going to get rid of it. But then now it is owned by the University of Fairbanks, Alaska. So they're reopening it this year. They're just opening it either now or very, very soon. They're reopening it. So now it's back to a university program. So now it's all for good again. But what I think happened, if the conspiracy is true, Raytheon owned it. So defense contractor owned it. They found out everything they could. And after they found out what they could, and then they moved the technology. Now they have mobile units. They have units in other countries. They're like, okay, we can control the weather. We can do this. We can do this. But we, what's it called? What's it called in debate when a red herring? When you purposely give like some people to look at, like, all right, HAARP, yeah, it's that. It's not doing anything.
Yeah, red herring. Yeah.
Right, it's doing nothing but good. Like, here's all the documents. Like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. So everyone's like, okay, yeah, HAARP, yeah, it's debunked. Like, it's just for research.
Meanwhile, what I was talking about, where they invited everyone in the Alaska one to come and have a look at it. It's like, yeah, look, there's no mind control here. It's just come and have a look. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Bullshit.
And so they do all that. They're like, oh yeah, it's not malicious at all. Like, it's just for research. And then they close it down. They hand it off to an educational institution. But meanwhile, they take the technology and their knowledge that they gained, and they move it on to like more sinister, malicious purposes.
Yeah.
Now you have the mobile units. Maybe they can actually direct hurricanes or direct storms or lightning storms. I don't know, man. The technology
And all the
Whoa.
You went way.
all the technology that started out to be.
Do that again,
Say
mate.
that again.
Oh,
I said, and all the technology left behind is what they initially started with.
Yeah, so it's just like the non-malicious portion of it, and then whatever they found out, they just take with them. They're like, "Yep, okay." They don't tell anything about it.
Remove enough, I guess, detail and information that it's going to take them a while to get to where the government are. But yeah, have a play around. And
Like if you start going with like DARPA and stuff and these like big organizations in the States, these guys are fucking 20, 30, 40 years ahead of what consumers see in technology. Right? So in the 70s when they said like, "Oh, we need a weather modification treaty because like we're just getting there now." It was almost 50 years ago. Now what are they?
We're there.
We're there. We've probably been there for 20 years. Right?
global warming.
Like so, like the conspiracy goes like, is it global warming? Is it actually fucking pushed by the agenda to like You know?
Or is it the changing of weather patterns by HAARP that's fucking up the rest of the world?
Yeah, so like I think if global warming, like I personally believe it in some way, like not global warming, but climate change for sure. Like if you cut down to 10 billion trees and people start spreading out, like you're cutting down a whole forest changes your local ecosystem.
You're
right?
having an impact for sure.
For 100, that's not debatable. If you cut down all the trees, like now there's no moisture getting into the air. Like there's like a whole bunch of different factors. You can easily change weather patterns locally, and then you push that onto a global scale. And like sure, like you change the weather a little bit, but then say like these nefarious people that they get a hold of, like, okay, the weather systems are changing. We can just push them a little bit more for our personal, our personal agenda, whatever that agenda may be.
Oh.
Anyways, boys, we
Yeah.
gotta take a really quick break because I'm gonna pee my pants, and we'll be right back.
Agreed.
We'll wrap this thing up, and yeah.
Do
All right.
One cold coffee left.
All right, and we're back. Everyone's bladders are empty.
Back.
good to go.
So
Sufficiently caffeinated.
I don't know. I think we covered a lot of areas on Skype. There's a lot of conspiracies. Like you can, like honestly, HAARP could spawn its own podcast really with all the theories and everyone talking about it.
You could harp on it for days.
Oh,
Hi-oh.
Zing.
anyways, any other final thoughts on HAARP? Like I pretty much said my spiel. I think if they do have the technology, which I think they do, they have the patents and shit. They can't create weather, but I think
Manipulate.
they can. Honestly, there's so many patents and there's so many things on it. They have to be able to manipulate the weather in some way.
I'd have to agree. Like initially looking at those patterns that you presented to me, I didn't realize this whole 20-year thing about those. I thought they were like new patterns that people had put out there and they're there for the public. I didn't realize the date of them.
Mm-hmm.
And just with the way, like I think back to 20 years when I was 11 or whatever, it was like my Discman just had a freaking skip feature on it where I could like rollerblade with it.
Anti-skip for 15 seconds.
Yeah, I had like a 3-second skip thing on it so I could rollerblade with it in my cargo pants and shit. And the way technology's gone now, from there to that, like to where we are now, if that pattern was worried about weather and manipulating it back then, like how technology has improved from there,
They got some shit.
there has to be something. Like,
They got some shit.
I can't see how there isn't. I'd be surprised if, yeah. That's my theory.
Braden?
You know what? I'm gonna go on a limb and I think what had happened is they were fucking around with HAARP, and they realized that they can manipulate weather. Little bits, maybe little bits, lots, who knows? But what's happened is every time they've fucked with it, the cause and effect is everything's getting worse and worse. And it's like every time they're like, okay, well, maybe if we do this, we can kind of counteract what we've done. And it makes things a little worse.
Yep.
So every
it's
year,
like how we discovered the microwave. Guy was standing in front of a radar dish with a chocolate bar in his pocket, and he noticed when he pulled the chocolate bar out, it was melted. We could do that. So
Yeah.
just in how you discover, it's just incidental discovery, where you're just like, what can we do, and then when you're experimenting with it enough, like like we said, the weather systems are a intricately interconnected system, and before you know it, if you take something away from one place, you're going to take something, if you put something somewhere, you're going to take something away from somewhere else.
The whole cause and effect.
And before you know it,
yep.
And before you know it, you've permanently fuck shit up that's been doing for millions and billions of years, and now you're just going to mess it up in one go in a couple years,
Yeah,
So.
I think like humans are kind of developing the God complex here. Like, okay, well now we can control the weather, we can control genes, so you can create life or make new life. You can control weather. Like, what's next?
We can make stuff perfect, but in doing so,
I'd say
we don't.
what's that? I'd say the Cobra Commander complex. It's more like it. We have our Weather Master. It'd be cooler for it. Shouldn't be HAARP. It should be Weather Master. What is it? Weather Dominator.
Weather Dominator.
Weather Dominator.
Weather
Way
Commander.
cooler.
Anyway, boys, yeah, I think You know what? There's gonna be a lot of people be like, "Oh, you guys didn't talk on that or that or that or that or that." But hey, you know what? We always revisit topics. So if we missed a bunch of stuff that you're like, okay, no, the mind control really works like this. Like you got to talk about it. Let us know. Shoot us.
Well, and this was more of an introduction of a bunch of things on HAARP, not necessarily in depth in one, because man, some of these things you can go. There's so much information.
You could talk for a day, right? Just keep going.
Yeah, I mean, just talking about how weather works could be like a whole
podcast,
week long. There could be like 7 podcasts talking about how to affect weather and the history of like geo manipulation and how earthquakes work. And
anyway,
yeah.
All right, boys, we got to start wrapping it up. I think.
I thought we did wrap. I thought we were wrapping it up.
We did. We were.
Well, we were wrapping it up.
We were halfway through the wrap.
All right. Well,
you guys cut up.
Okay.
T-shirts are available at our website.
Yeah,
looks sweet.
Most of them have been bought the first batch, but I'm ordering more. So if you want one, just order one.
Wow,
they've been bought already.
Yeah, well, not all of them, but like a good chunk. A couple of them are sold out, but we're always getting more. We're always getting more stock. So if you order one and it says sold out, in the day or two we'll have more. So don't worry about it. Keep ordering.
Oh wow. Cool. Wow. You like our shirts. Wow. Cool. We're gonna do some after hours after this one. Sans me, so you guys can go ahead and beak me as much as you want.
I'll do a little Braden beak here. No big deal.
Beaking to be done.
If you want, you know what? If you don't know by now, follow us on Twitter at @TruthIsOutThere, at Alien Theorists on Facebook, alientheorist.com, alientheorist@gmail.com for all your stories, anything you want said. If you want to support the show is always ad free. Head over to patreon.com, look up Alien Theorist Theorizing. Support the show, you get some bonus content, and keeps the show going.
Someone sent a message that said, what did it say? Is it on Instagram? It was really funny because I needed to read it to you because it's
Good story.
Basically,
Hansel.
what's your one song that was on the last podcast?
What did I do last podcast?
Is it Run With You?
Run With Me?
Run With Me?
So yeah, 2 podcasts ago it was Run For Me. The last podcast we did was I'm Done With You. Do you remember?
Someone made a comment on, I don't know if it was Twitter or
one of the Twitties.
One of the something, and they were saying, "Oh, I love that song on the last podcast. It was awesome." But all I could hear was Ron Pond with me.
Ron.
Or so,
because the song is "Run From Me, Baby," and the guy's like,
Ron Pond.
Ron Pond me, baby.
Ron Pond me, baby. That's the one.
Yeah.
Ron Pond me, baby.
Ron Pond me now.
Yeah.
Run Pond me, baby. You should, can you get Cass to record a special version of that song called Ron Pond me, baby?
I think we should, yeah.
Yeah.
Run Pond me, baby.
Anyways, this week, I'm going to do one more song this week. So the first week we had kind of a heavier one. Last week we had a more bluesy one. This week is our more poppy one. So this is pretty much as pop as we get. And
then next, we should have had a classical harp arrangement for this one.
Yeah,
I didn't quite get that in there, but
all right. And as always, keep those eyes on the skies. Mixing up, live long and prolapse, guys.
There you go. Sweet.
What you give in life, you make your bed and nothing comes for free. I do what I wanna do and let things come to be. So stop pretending that you just can't do the same. Do the same. There's no other time than now, so what the hell is your priority? Are you money hungry or do you want free? You want free, want to be free. Yeah, yeah. again, and what the hell would you have to repeat? Make more money, go where you're gonna be happy. Happy. Are you happy? What are you waiting for? Waiting for? 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 There is only now. So what you waiting for? There is only now. So what you waiting for? Now, what are you waiting for? Waiting for? What are you waiting for? Waiting for? What are you waiting for? Waiting for? What are you waiting for? Waiting for?
Baseball fans, BetMGM is giving you the chance to win a prize every day during the baseball season. Step into the batter's box for BetMGM Swing for the Fences free-to-play game. Pick any area of the strike zone and take your best swing. If you get a single, double, triple, or home run, you'll receive a prize. Smash a home run to collect a bonus bet on us. Just log into your BetMGM Sports account to get started. Then visit your promotion section to access the Swing for the Fences free-to-play game. You'll score a prize if you hit a single, double, triple, or home run. There's nothing more exciting than going yard, so swing for the fences with the king of sportsbooks. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only, Iowa only. Existing customer offers, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards vary depending on market and expire 24 hours from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.